End of the Governor's Cup in Madison, Indiana, the Air National Guard hydroplane fleet looked like scattered and shattered toys of an angry child. But today, most of the fleet is intact and on the docks in Detroit, ready to battle deck to deck for the most prestigious prize of the sport, the APBA Gold Cup. From the Detroit River in Detroit, Michigan, it's round 2 of the Air National Guard Hydroplane Series. Today, it's the 2011 APBA Gold Cup. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Weber. Thanks for having us in for the race. And it's not just any race. The Gold Cup is the Indianapolis 500 of boat racing. Before the season starts, ask any crew member, what are the team goals? Number 2, win the championship. Number 1, win the Gold Cup. They've been chasing this thing since 1904. The legendary Chip Hanauer won it 11 times. Dave Villwock has won the last 3. In fact, Villwock is tied for second in Gold Cup wins with the late Bill Muncy, 8 apiece. Villwock and Muncy are also tied in career wins with 62. Today, Villwock hopes to unlock both those ties, but he's got a long way to go. After the first 2 preliminary heats, just 500 points, leaving him below the cut line and out of the final. My partner Mike Allen is with the defending Gold Cup champion.
Thanks, Bill. Dave, it's amazing the team is even here this weekend in Detroit.
Yeah, it was a lot of hours by a lot of us, and actually Ed Cooper and his whole team really helped us, and you can see all the damage and all the parts we had to build and all of that. We got here and qualified well, but then we blew up a gearbox, and so it's been a roller coaster ride, but we're here and we're still trying to make it into that all-important final.
Let's take a look at the format for making the final. Qualifying points do count. 4 sets of heats this week, and the final field is set by total points accumulated today. Now, let's go through the field for an update, starting with the number 1 team, Oh Boy Oberto. They have hired John Zimmerman to replace the injured Steve David. They decided there was too much damage to their boat, so they have leased the boat for the Gold Cup this weekend in Detroit.
It's not going to behave like the boats I've driven in the past, so there's going to be some adjustment to get used to it.
Well, John qualified the boat 5th at 149.1 miles per hour and finished 4th in both of his first 2 heats. Moving to the 5 boat of Jeff Bernard. He qualified 2nd at 156.663 miles per hour. And in his first 2 heats, he had a 3rd place finish and a victory. A good start to the weekend for the Graham Trucking team.
I'm happy. I knew we were fast. The first heat we kind of let slip away, but we're not going to look backwards. We're going to look forward. We got a race boat.
Jeff's rookie teammate, Scott Liddicoat, has been most impressive, qualifying 3rd at 153.073 miles per hour and leading much of Heat 1A in a deck-to-deck battle with J. Michael Kelly, only to lose the lead at the last turn.
But no doubt, Bill, one of the best heats of the weekend, and Scott did a great job.
That's one of the best heats we've seen all season.
Could be.
Scott then showed some of his inexperience when he was penalized for pushing Brian Perkins wide in Heat 2C. A loss of 150 points, but still an impressive Detroit debut. J.W. Myers and the 11 Peterson May boat struggled in qualifying, but did score a win in Heat 1C and a 3rd place in Heat 2B.
We're just happy to be here, happy to drive it back. All the parts are still on it, and, you know, we're just going to continue being cautious.
The 17 boat that Kip Brown drove to 2 heat wins last week has an interim driver this week. It's veteran Cal Phipps.
Kip had all their obligations. He races a national mod and a 5-liter, and he's really, really good in those 2 classes. It's an inboard class, and he had a big national event there at Black Lake in Washington. So Cal Phipps is here driving an International Guard boat. Cal's really a good driver, too, as well.
Cal qualified 4th and has a win and a 2nd place finish so far this weekend here in Detroit. So a good run for that team continues.
The 21 team and Brian Perkins have rebounded from the incident in Madison with a 7th place qualifying effort and a pair of 2nd place heat finishes.
Brian Perkins off to a good start here in Detroit, but I know a lot of your thoughts are with some of the people in Madison.
Yeah, last weekend we keep getting updates every day, every morning, actually 2 or 3 updates a day with the people that are in the hospital and out of the hospital. The whole team, everybody here is thinking about them. That's our primary concern right now, as well as trying to race a boat.
This season continues to be a struggle for Mike Webster in the 22 with a pair of did-not starts in the first 2 heats. The core of the problem is recurring engine issues as well as a lost propeller.
Meanwhile, Mark Evans and the 57formulaboats.com were certainly exciting in the early heats, but the results were not quite what they were hoping for. A DNF and a third place has them sitting last in the event point standings. Detroit seems to suit the degree for men 88, as J. Michael Kelly's 6th place in qualifying has been followed up by that win over Scott Liddicoat in Heat 1A and a solid run to 2nd place in 2B.
The 88 team has to be happy with their performance this weekend for being on the water for the very first time.
That boat has really looked good. They struggled in Madison, but have performed well here. For Greg Hopp in the Al DB Dodge 100, a slow qualifying pace has been offset by a pair of steady runs in the heats. So here are the point standings after the first 2 sets of heats. Cal Phipps leads the way, followed by J. Michael Kelly, Jeff Bernard, Greg Hopp, and J.W. Myers. Now let's take a look at this demanding Detroit race course. The Detroit River is 32 miles long. The river divides the major metropolitan areas of Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario. Today, we're only concerned about 2.5 miles, but it can be very treacherous. One wide sweeping turn, one very tight turn. Here's a driver-driven tour of this course.
Well, I just got lucky on Thursday. I got to go out for a ride with Mark Webber. He took me around the river on a pleasure boat with Jeff Bernard, and they showed me a couple of the tough spots.
It's very different than any other race course. It's got the smallest turn in all of racing, and it's got the biggest turn in all of racing.
He's going into the first turn over in the Whittier turn, they call it, the Belle Isle turn. The waves can be pretty rolly with the shallow water here, so there's a couple critical areas you got to watch out for.
You got a real big dog leg on the backstretch. When you come out of turn 1, you're actually aimed right at the DYC, and then midway up the backstretch, you start going left.
Once you get by the yacht club, driver has to pay attention because there's bumps, there's rollers, there's high winds, and you got to get your boat under control to go into this hairpin rooster tail turn.
Getting through the rooster tail turn here is usually pretty tricky to get through efficiently.
If you go and ask any driver, this is one of the, our favorite courses to run. It's a real racer's course.
It's a real fans course, too. They love boat racing in Detroit. And the hydroplanes for Heat 3A are heading out. Gold Cup racing when we come back.
Coverage of the 2011 Air National Guard Hydroplane Series is brought to you by Air National Guard. Visit goang.com to learn more about exciting opportunities in your area. Valken Sports, get out and play paintball. Check ValkenPaintball.com for a field near you. And by Whispering Turbines, where life begins at 200 miles per hour.
Getting set to go back to racing here in Detroit. On the opposite shore from the pits is Belle Isle and the Detroit Yacht Club. And Lindsay Guthrie is checking out the action over there.
For more than 100 years, the Detroit Yacht Club has been the most exciting place to watch unlimited hydroplane racing.
Lived here my whole life, and this is the first time I've been down for the boat races. Fantastic.
I've been here several years, a lot of times sitting in the stands. I just love the excitement of it. It's fast, love the air show, love to see the hydroplanes go by, just love it all.
My wife and I have been members here at the Yacht Club for 18 years and pretty much stood at the end of this dock for every unlimited event here in Detroit.
We're members of the DYC and love coming down here and watching them.
It's a full weekend event. It's nothing that we would miss. If there's any way possible, we move heaven and earth to be here to watch it. I mean, we've got the best seat in the house, so you can't really complain, right?
I think we have the best seat in the house.
Yes, we do.
Getting ready for 3A, and here is the starting lineup for Heat 3A. 6 boats: Scott Liddicoat, Cal Phipps, J. Michael Kelly, Brian Perkins, Mark Evans, and Mike Webster in the 22. Those are the 6 drivers in Heat 3A. Take a look at our GoPro onboards as these drivers look to pick out their lane for the start.
These guys have already gone past the 1-minute commitment pin, but now they're getting ready to come up into this rooster tail turn. And that's where they're going to have to establish their lanes for this start.
Looking to see if anybody's going to try and leapfrog some of the other boats. J. Michael Kelly looking back at Cal Phipps. On board with Kelly, he will be busy in there. Oh, it looks like Liddicoat got washed down by Brian Perkins, and that's more than likely going to be a penalty.
Yeah, that's probably going to cost Brian at least a lap there.
Heat 3A coming down to get the green flag. It's a legal start. All boats are good.
Looks like J. Michael nailed that start, Bill. Here comes Cal, and he has been getting used to this boat. This is his third heat, but there's always something different about a new boat, and he's got to get used to that.
4 wide, heading into the first turn. On board with J. Michael Kelly in the Degree Men 88. There's Cal Phipps chasing him. That's first and second. And Cal watching that boat in front of him and that wall of water.
Here comes that speed we were talking about before. It looks like Cal's going to pull up on him on the outside. Here's a section right here, Bill. When these guys get close down to the Detroit Yacht Club, that wind comes directly across the race course and wants to change the entire attitude of the boat.
What's it want to do to it?
Wants to lift that right sponson up and throw it right in your face.
Kind of like that?
Exactly.
Battle for the lead. J. Michael Kelly in the Degree Men 88 coming back on Cal Phipps and Miss Red Dot.
This is going to be a great heat here. We got speed on the outside, but J. Michael is taking the shortest way around this big course.
This is a whole different week for these guys in this 88 boat. All kinds of problems at Madison, and now they are running deck to deck for the lead.
You see those buildings on the right there? That wind is going to be tunneling through, and it's going to cause the same thing as the Detroit Yacht Club. It wants to lift that right sponson.
So you really got to be feeling that when you're in the cockpit.
Absolutely, Bill. I mean, this is something where you get halfway down the race course and you are all into that front wing.
J. Michael Kelly in the inside lane, battling with Cal Phipps for the lead.
We have to keep something else in mind here too, Bill. This is the biggest turn on the race circuit, and it goes all the way down to the smallest turn on the race circuit.
The bridge turn is the biggest one. The rooster tail turn, the shortest one, the tightest one. That's Brian Perkins. He is third on the course, but last in scoring. He has been penalized for washing down the 7 before the start of the race. On board with Mark Evans in the 57. Back up front, Cal Phipps starting to stretch it out just a little bit, but J. Michael Kelly with that inside lane and the advantage fighting back.
Cal giving him just enough room. Actually, he's gone out a little bit more, and they are both flying those boats early out of the turn.
Boy, this Miss Red Dot team has been fantastic the first 2 weeks. All the work they did in the offseason, a different driver in the first 2 races. They have really performed well. So has this guy, rookie Scott Lidico. Falcon.com got washed down at the start, but back up to speed now. There's Mark Evans. He's in third. And Lidico is trying to run down his teammate for position. And remember, all these points add up to get you into the final.
At the end of the straightaway here, Bill, this is one of the fastest race courses we run on. This is 190 miles per hour plus.
That's Perkins in the green boat on the outside. Remember, he's been penalized. These 2 boats, these are teammates. Lidico in the black 7. There's Evans in the red 57. The pass for third. So Lidico, who was washed down at the start, has come back to take the third position. Meanwhile, Cal Phipps up front, and Miss Red Dot coming around to get the white flag. I don't know if J. Michael Kelly's going to have enough for him, even if he does have that inside lane.
I don't think so, Bill. Cal is flying that thing. He is on a roll.
Boy, those boats are really dancing down there. Lidico going past Brian Perkins, who again has been penalized for washing down the 7 at the start. Whoa! Mark Evans getting a little airtime there, huh?
Bill, this is one race course where you do not want to go outside the perimeter buoys because there's a cement wall waiting for you.
That's right. It's on board with the race leader, Cal Phipps, Miss Red Dot. Half a lap from the finish.
You're that far out front, Bill, you determine the race course and let everybody else follow you. Clean shot.
Past the Detroit Yacht Club. J. Michael Kelly. Looks fine when you're going straight, but when you get in the turns, that's a lot of work. Whoa! Working those wings a little there?
Absolutely. On this back straightaway, watch that front wing go down. As soon as he gets into this corner, the wing is up. Now he's trying to pack as much air as he can around that thing to get through the corner.
Get the air to lift the boat out of the water. Less drag, more speed. Checkered flag. Cal Phipps dances across the finish line for the win in Heat 3A. Followed by J. Michael Kelly. And another good run for Scott Lidico. Cal Phipps ran the fastest lap on lap 3, over 146 miles an hour. Mike Webster did not start. Brian Perkins penalized for washing down the 7. Now, you saw Mark Evans finish 4th in that heat, but the boat has been doing double duty this weekend as Bianca Bonassini, who is part of Ted Porter's driver development program, got some seat time this morning.
You know, Bill, this has to be an absolute thrill for her because she's coming out of one of the smallest classes in hydroplane racing. Now she's in the biggest.
And on the Detroit River, a thrill for driver and coach.
All right, Bianca, that was a great run for your first time ever in an unlimited hydroplane. Tell us how it felt.
No, it was just a heavier 1 liter, honestly. I expected it to be a lot more difficult around the turns, and definitely weight training helped, and I'm ecstatic right now.
You did a great job, and I think a few of these guys on shore should be a little concerned next year.
Oh, let's
You guys, I'm so excited because I get to be the water boy now. So.
That's Mark Evans, her co-driver and coach. Over to Mike with winner Cal Phipps.
Cal, that was impressive. You've got to be extremely happy with the shoot speed. You were able to hold off J. Michael Kelly, and now you're headed, I think, into the finals.
I hope so. It's a mathematical game. We said we're going to take it easy, but I think everybody was playing conservative. So they left lane 2 open. I sized up the field coming up late like I had planned. Hey, this Red Dot Corporation boat's running. These guys won't stop working. Detroit Yacht Club, I wanted to hear them horns again. This Air National Guard series, it's anybody's game.
It's the Gold Cup. Nobody's going to take it easy. Back to Detroit in a moment. Not hard to find these talented drivers between heats. J. Michael Kelly signing an autograph after his second-place finish in Heat 3A. Now let's look at the highlights from Heat 3B. And watch this before the start as the number 5 of Jeff Bernard, the 100 of Greg Hopp, and the 96 of Dave Villwock separated by only a few feet. This is what they call fighting for position. Villwock forced to back out, lets the others go, but it doesn't matter. Villwock in the 96 Spirit of Qatar has the lead by the bridge turn and runs off into the distance for the win.
Yeah, that was just like Rubbiners racing there, Bill. Very close for those guys. Almost came in contact with each other, but a beautiful boat ride by Dave Villwock.
He gets the 400 points with the win. Bernard 2nd, Greg Hopp 3rd, John Zimmerman 4th, and J.W. Myers 5th.
Dave, looks like you did a heck of a job saving the boat even prior to the start of the race.
Yeah, unfortunately. Bernard, I was in lane 2, and he kept crowding me. Finally, I said, okay, I give up. I'll take lane 1. And then we got down here just before the entrance of the turn, and he grabbed a mitt full of steering wheel and gas, and I had to drive inside the course to miss him, but they fined him for it. But
yeah, we saw it.
It could have ended the race right there, so it's too bad he had to do that.
Here are the points after 3 sets of heats. Cal Phipps leading the way. Good recovery for J. Michael Kelly. Villwock now looks like he might be a lock, but Scott Liddicoat could be on the outside looking in. Big crowd all along both shores and near the pits, and they enjoyed some flying exhibitions from an F-18. And some aerobatics from the Air National Guard's Lieutenant Colonel John Platt performing some amazing stunts above the water. Now, the P1 Series is also racing today, including a crew from a TV show with a different kind of boat that you might find up in Alaska. Lindsay?
All right, I'm joined by Travis Laughlin, and when you're not navigating the Bering, you're driving this boat, the Time Bandit, here in offshore racing. You're a risk taker, no doubt. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, it's been a career choice of mine for the last 13 years. I took a semester off of school to have the Great Alaskan Adventure, and it's suddenly fallen into one of the biggest TV shows on Discovery Channel and on cable TV. I decided to get into offshore powerboat racing, and the biggest difference is you're navigating, and you can read water 40 footers at 4 knots, but it's a lot different story when you're navigating 44 footers at 90 miles an hour. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great sport. There's a lot going on, and it's a lot of fun. You know, getting involved with the communities, charities. Every time we try to get into a town, and it's been a good time.
Thank you, Lindsay. We're now down to the final round of preliminaries with Heat 4A next on tap. There are 3 winners from previous heats in that lineup, as well as 1 rapid rookie, so it ought to be a real shootout. The boats and the drivers getting ready for a ruckus on the Detroit River. And we'll be back for more of the Air National Guard Unlimited Hydroplane Series at the APBA Gold Cup in just a moment. Gold Cup Sunday in Detroit. That will get your heart racing. 103rd APBA Gold Cup. The boats in Heat 4A is driven by J.W. Myers, who crashed out of this event last year. The reason for his abrupt departure is the subject of this week's Unlimited Access Pass with Mike Allen.
This is a crucial component to an unlimited hydroplane. This is a turning fin, or more commonly referred to as a skid fin. Last year here in Detroit, J.W. Myers ripped the skid fin completely off the side of his boat, which basically left him in an unguided missile headed for the seawall. These monster fins are manufactured out of heat-treated aircraft quality steel and can weigh anywhere from 250 to 300 pounds. The skid fin is attached to the hull with these massive struts and bolts, and it can be adjusted by the crew depending on the course conditions. Sure, you need the rudder to steer the boat, but at 7,000 pounds and 200 miles per hour, believe me, this skid fin is your best friend.
I guess. You check that thing before you get in the boat?
Not before every heat, but you sure have to count on that guy that bolted it on.
A lot of hard-working men and women in the pits at Unlimited Hydroplane Racing. Here you see the lineup for Heat 4A. It's a good one. There should be plenty of speed and excitement in this heat. Remember, these points, very important getting into the final. This is Gold Cup Sunday, and right now these guys trying to figure out exactly what lane they're going to take. Scott Liddicoat looked like he had the inside lane, but it looked like J. Michael Kelly might have gotten the 5 boat links on him and gotten past.
I think he did, Bill, and he leapfrogged him because he had the room to do it.
There you see Cal Phipps getting passed by J.W. Myers. So it looks like it's going to be J. Michael Kelly in the inside lane. There's the 7 of Liddicoat. Falcon.com machine.
They're starting to turn up the wick now, Bill.
Gonna see who hits the start line the best. Boy, Cal Phipps really took it wide. J. Michael Kelly hugging the inside, trying to get up to speed. Even Scott Liddicoat had to slow down a little bit. J.W. Myers hits it right on the money.
J.W. nailed that one, Bill, but I'm not sure he's going to have the chute speed to carry him all the way down here.
Boy, how'd you like to be Liddicoat in that second lane there?
Great shot. Here's 195 plus.
3 wide heading into the first turn. Kelly on the inside, then Liddicoat the rookie, and then J.W. Myers. On board with Liddicoat. Rough ride down there.
This is going to be a battle. Watch the wings here.
Good look at J.W. Myers looking out to his right, looking at Liddicoat. Side by side down the backstretch toward the yacht club.
Right here's where you got to have a lot of finesse, Bill.
You see that right sponson lift up on the 88?
That's it, Bill. Both of these guys are on the wings hard now.
Into the second turn, the tighter rooster tail turn. Right in front of the pits here in Detroit. On board with Liddicoat.
Here comes that drag race down the front straightaway. Looks about even, Bill.
This 88 boat, brand new, no success at Madison, but has really looked good here.
No, but they've got to be pleased this weekend, Bill, for its first time in the water. This is a brand new hull. They have some new angles of technology on the bottom. They have a lower center of gravity, and the attack of the sponsons are different than most other boats.
Boy, J. Michael Kelly muscling that boat around this course. You know, this team, the 88 team, they've been really good about updating their fans on their Facebook page. All last week at Madison, they kept giving them updates on what work was being done, when they plan to be at the track. It's a good way to follow this team on Facebook.
Very impressive, Bill. This team's got a lot of money behind it, and they're looking for some big things this year.
And they've got good sponsorship from Degree Men. Right now, Scott Liddicoat, the rookie, has the edge over the veteran J. Michael Kelly.
Scott doesn't have the 7 boat lengths that he needs to come on over, so he's got to hold his line throughout.
Boy, that's hard to do. That's that skid fin digging in.
Exactly. 7,000 pounds. You got to have something to bring you around that turn.
Man, see him working that front wing. This is almost identical to what we saw in Heat 1A. On board with Cal Phipps, running third in the Miss Red Dot. Brian Perkins, Miss Lake Bridge Paving in fourth. Back up front, the battle continues. Boy, those boats dancing across the Detroit River.
You can see completely underneath the boat, Bill. Again, you got two sponsons barely in the water and just the lower tip of the propeller.
On board with Liddicoat, the rookie was interviewed over the phone by team owner Ted Porter and was hired over the phone. His wife, Kim, took the call. She handed him the phone. He said, "You've got the job," and Scott said he couldn't believe it. His stomach just completely fell. He called it a dream come true, and he's doing okay.
Doing a great job here, Bill. He's just leaving enough room for J. Michael on the inside, no more than what he needs, so he can keep that speed up.
32-year-old J. Michael Kelly, going to get married in a couple of weeks. His fiancée is here, having a good run in that 88-degree men boat, battling with Liddicoat. And now coming back for the lead. Side by side to the white flag.
Doesn't get any better than that, Bill. This is deck-to-deck racing at its best.
Third for Cal Phipps. Wow, really taking it wide. His fans probably got a little wet down there.
I think they did, Bill. That's about as wide as you can go without scraping the wall.
Fourth place, Brian Perkins. These two racing for the win and the 400 points toward making the final. J. Michael Kelly on the inside has really come back on Liddicoat.
Nobody's lifting here, Bill. Believe me, these guys are flat out, and I'm not even sure they're using a whole lot of wing right now because they want to win.
Now down the backstretch one final time. Watch for the wind and watch and see if these boats get light. J. Michael Kelly has the lead and the inside lane.
Scott's going to have to stay on his hip here if he wants to pull this off.
Man, sponson to sponson. Whoa, there go. Oh!
There's that gust of wind we're talking about right across from the Detroit Yacht Club.
And you just try and put your foot through the floor there, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Wing down. Final turn. For the lead, they are side by side. J. Michael Kelly and Scott Liddicoat. It looks like Liddicoat gets the win.
Wow, just barely pulled that one off. That was a great battle. Win, lose, or draw, J. Michael Kelly is just relieved that this heat is over with.
Well, J. Michael Kelly, a great race, but he comes home second to Scott Liddicoat. Then it was Phipps, Perkins, and Myers. Let's check in and see where Lindsay's at.
Wow, guys, what a tight race that was between the Vulcan and the Degree boat. I'm down here now in the Degree men activation area, sponsorship activation area. We've got anything you could possibly imagine. We've got samples, we've got simulators, we've got rides, we've got prizes, games, the whole 9 yards. There's something good for everybody down here.
Complete 360 integration for fans to watch the race, come here, engage, get samples, redeem for a free die cast, and have some fun.
Scott Liddicoat, his first heat win. A kiss from wife Kim, and Mike Allen is with him.
Scott Liddicoat, one of the best heats of the weekend. A little give and take on the back chute there, a little bit of give and take on the front chute. What was this like?
Oh, it's rough as hell. It's the Detroit River, I guess. It's what they've been warning me about all weekend, and it hasn't been this bad until today. So, yeah, it's been wild. This roost tail turn's a challenge.
It's a challenge, but you guys look like you were getting flighty out that Belle turn.
Yeah, it was. There's some lumps out there, man. I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah, fantastic job. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in the final.
Thanks very much.
Scott Liddicoat will race for the Gold Cup in just a little while from now. And you always got to thank those hard-working people on the crew. Lindsay, how's it coming on that driver's permit?
All right, let's get ready to run.
We'll get back to some real racing in a moment as these teams compete for the Gold Cup in Detroit. As they do every year, the fans have come out to the Detroit River to watch the Gold Cup. The Air National Guard Welcome Center is a popular place to learn more about the Guard and have some fun. Even Lindsay's willing to try the gyro ride, but the key point is that we learn every day how valuable our citizen soldiers are to keeping us safe on the home front.
We're here with the Air National Guard's Tech Sergeant Chandra Corrado. Chandra, thank you so much for joining us. You've had quite the day here at the Unlimited Hydroplane Series. Tell us what you've done.
Well, so far I've ridden in a helicopter. I've watched the races from above, and I can tell you what an incredible view that was. It was amazing to be up top to see that. And I got a chance to sit in one of the boats and meet the drivers, and it's an amazing sport that you have going on here. Incredible.
Tell us why you decided to get involved with the National Guard.
Well, when I was in high school, I always wanted to be a pilot, actually, and I wanted to kind of stay close to home, so this was the best option. Turned out to be one of the greatest decisions I've ever made in my life, and here I am today.
Tell us about the need for locals here and from the Michigan area in the Air National Guard.
Well, we have a lot of need for, folks ranging from 17 to 40, prior service folks. Any experience they can bring to the table would be great. The hometown support is the best because, there's great benefits. You get to stay home, and be in the military. Best of both worlds.
Thank you, Lindsay. Let's take a look at the action in Heat 4B. Once again, the back straight before the start provided plenty of drama for Dave Vilwalk as he took a heavy wash of spray and drifted to the inside of the marker buoys. Now, fortunately, the veteran was able to recover. He led across the line at the start, and just like most of his previous heats, he drove off into the distance. The number 5 of Jeff Bernard taking second place in this heat, ahead of the number 100 of Greg Hopp and the number 1 of John Zimmerman subbing for Steve David. So the top 5 point getters will have a chance at the Gold Cup. But at the top of the list, Dave Vilwalk, chasing the Gold Cup and his 63rd career win. That would be a record. And before the season got started, our Steve Montgomery sat down with Dave to talk about the possibility of making history.
The modern legends of this sport, names like Chip Hanauer and Bill Munsey. And at some point this season, it is expected that Dave Vilwalk will surpass both of them and become the all-time winningest driver in the history of this sport. Dave, just to be mentioned with those names, I know, is very special to you.
Yeah, I think that's, a lot of people ask me about this record, and it'd be interesting and, something to put up on the wall. But the truth is, I was happy to get to 60. I wanted to get to sort of the same decimal point as Muncie and Hanauer, and everything since that's been sort of icing.
But you never really pursued this record, and it's all just kind of fallen into place, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's fallen into place. I think I've been lucky that I've worked with a lot of really, really great people. As I said, like Chip, I learned a lot from him. Dan Walters, Don Parkin, Fred Leland and his group, and now Eric Elstrom and his group.
You can't talk to Bill Munsey about this, but I know you and Chip have had a couple of conversations. What has he said about it?
Well, I think he's, he knows that, it's just he did the best he could and tried to give, I think he tried to give the sport the best he could and his best time and his best personality. And, he gave the sport something special. And I think Bill Munsey gave this sport something special in a different way. And I've tried to give the sport something special in my own way. And they're all a little different.
You only need one for this record. Do you have a number in mind, like 70 or 80 or 90?
No, I just try to win one at a time. We go to, we almost never try to go to win a points championship or anything. We just go try to win a race.
And he's won 62 of them. Will today be number 63. But, Mike, we've been watching this for a while. A lot of work going on this 96 boat, working to strengthen the front sponson, and they're doing a rear wing change.
Yeah, it looks like they had some issues with the rear wing during some of the qualifying heats and some of their heat runs. So they're playing it safe. They're changing it out for the final. And on top of that, we saw that last heat where Dave came in on the infield. That was because he couldn't see. He was going so slow with this parking start that we have that they're having to bolt a piece of aluminum up on that front sponson to keep the water from coming up on the windshield while you're going 15 miles per hour.
And that'll also strengthen that front sponson because the water here can get pretty rough.
Absolutely.
And by the way, that wing we saw them bolting on back there, they borrowed that from Nate Brown in the 17 bunch.
Yeah, most of these parts are interchangeable. There's just a few teams that have some of their own that are specific, but for the most part, you can borrow from other teams.
And all of this work is extremely precise. Let's check in on the 5-gram trucking of Jeff Bernard. And let's talk about these two boats, the 5 and the 7. They switched this year. Jeff now has the older boat. Scott, the rookie, has the newer boat. Why is that?
The team told me, Bill, that the 5 boat is actually better all the way around for bigger courses and smaller courses. But actually, the 7 is supposed to be the fastest in a straightaway.
And Scott Littlecote has really given that hull quite a ride through the first 2 races. So here's the question. Today in Detroit, can a rookie win the Gold Cup? Or can a brand new team with a brand new boat win the Gold Cup? The 88-degree men and J. Michael Kelly. They struggled at Madison, but now they're ready to compete for the sport's biggest prize. And one more stop, down at the 17, where Nate Brown and his guys are working on something Mike was talking about, the skid fin.
What we're doing is we have to line up the skid fin. The skid fin we want to make sure is perfectly in line with the direction the boat's going. If it's kicked out at all, it'll want to try to hike itself up on the fin and it'll blow the boat over. If it's in too tight, it's going to hook on them. You don't like that. So we put a straight edge on the flat spot on the inside of the fin. We measure to the air trap to try to dial that in. That's what we do.
All right, Nate, thanks for the tip and good luck. And good luck to this guy, a very calm-looking Dave Villwalk.
I'm not sure how calm he is right now, Bill.
Well, he's racing for the Gold Cup and chasing history. The Gold Cup final is next. 5 men, 5 laps. It's time for the 2011 Gold Cup final in Detroit. And here is the final lineup. Jeff Bernard, Scott Lidico, Cal Phipps, J. Michael Kelly, and Dave Villwalk. These drivers out there trying to find their favorite lane.
This is where it gets important, Bill, where you've got to have your lane, you've got to have your speed, and make sure you hit that line before it hits 0.
Is that Cal Phipps on the outside there?
Looks like it, Bill. He's got a head of steam coming out there, which is going to make for a great shot.
It looks like he's a little early. He's going to have to use up all the course. Whoa, he got the buoy. Coming down for the green flag. It's in the air. It's a legal start and a great start for J. Michael Kelly on board with Lidico.
Great shoot speed on the outside here. Lane 3, it looks like.
Villwalk in lane 2. Jeff Bernard outside of Lidico. That's your race leader, J. Michael Kelly, the 88-degree man, hugging that buoy line.
Scrubbed a little speed there, Bill, as he had to hex that thing around the corner.
You can watch him work the front wing here. There's your second place boat, Jeff Bernard, the Graham Trucking, but coming up on his outside, there's Villwalk in lane 4.
Boy, I'm not sure I want to be Jeff Bernard. You're going to be in the middle of these two guys going around this corner. When that rooster tail goes up, you can't see.
J. Michael Kelly, he's on the buoy line, the inside lane. That's the fastest way around, but not always the easiest. There's Dave Villwalk.
Don't forget about Jeff in the middle here. It's going to be tight for Jeff. It looks like he's got room, but whoa.
Wow, that closed up in a hurry.
And I think I see some damage here, Bill.
Talking about the rear upright on the wing?
Exactly, Bill. It's amazing what that water pressure would do from that rooster tail.
Jeff's lost some speed, but trying to get the boat back up to speed. Here it is again. Watch this close up on him.
Yeah, this was close, Bill. It's hard to tell from this angle, but obviously if there was anything wrong, the officials will make a call.
Referees watching from above in a helicopter. Here it is again. Watch the right rear upright. See the damage done there, and there could be more damage done to that boat.
Yeah, more than likely, Bill, they wrapped the mirrors back, and he probably doesn't have mirrors either. Tail feathers look like they're being shredded as well.
So he's got his hands full.
He's going to have his hands full.
Dave Villwalk, your race leader. Being chased by J. Michael Kelly. You can see these boats dancing on the Detroit River. Villwalk, 57 years old, 62 career wins, 8 APBA Gold Cups. Has a healthy lead.
Staying out in lane 2 just in case that thing bites on him. He'll have time to react.
Yeah, we remember what happened last week in Madison. There's Jeff Bernard. He's currently running in 3rd in the Graham Trucking machine. Behind him is teammate Scott Lidico in the 4th position. Cal Phipps runs in 5th. We are getting word from the tower about a penalty on the 88-degree men of J. Michael Kelly. Kelly is being penalized for cutting off the 5 of Jeff Bernard. That's when we saw all that damage to the rear of the boat. So Kelly has been penalized and will have to run an extra lap. That moves the racers behind him up 1 position in the field. Meanwhile, it's still Dave. Wow! Look at the right spots and get up on that boat.
Bill, I'm not sure about that call because if you're going to cut somebody off, it's usually done from the outside in and not from the inside out. So that's a little weird.
Be a discussion about that after the race?
Absolutely.
On board with Bernard. Again, you can see the damage, lower right-hand corner of the screen.
Look at that wing in the front, Bill. This is where you get towards the end of the straightaway. You start bringing that thing up to keep it down on the water.
Dave Villwalk, your race leader in the final of the Gold Cup.
Look how clean that thing's running, Bill. If we were ground level, you'd be able to see right underneath that boat all the way to the other side.
From the chopper, you see Bernard, and he is slowing down, and he's got... He's got more damage to the front of the boat now.
That's the front canard, Bill. That's how you control this thing. That's what puts it back down on the water. That's what frees it up through the corners.
Where the front wing is.
Exactly. I don't know how he's going to be able to continue.
Well, here comes his teammate, Scott Lidicoat, Falcon.com.
And you can bet he's hearing in his ear from the shore that his teammate's got a problem to try and run him down.
How is that thing going to turn?
This is going to be interesting. I'm surprised it's still hanging on as long as it has here.
There you can see some of the pieces off the boat of Jeff Bernard.
Yeah, that looks like some of the tail feathers off the back, but he is absolutely helpless right now. I'm not sure if this is, I'm not sure if I'd be able to run this thing.
Look at that. Lidicoat coming up on the outside. Jeff isn't slowing down.
Not at all. You know, I thought he was smarter than this, but this is unreal.
Looks like Scott's going to take the position.
As you would expect, because Jeff is at the mercy of the water and the wind. He cannot do anything about it.
And he has his hands full. That has to be a wild ride.
He's still running hard, Bill, but again, halfway down this race course, he's going to have to be on his toes and make sure he spills that air because he has no help from that front wing at all.
They see the white flag. Dave Villwock has already taken it. Less than a lap away from making unlimited hydroplane history. Boat running well. And he really doesn't have to push it here either because he's not being pushed for a position.
Not at this point. The guys are on the radio telling him, keep this thing right side up, bring it home. Look at this. They're still running without that front canard. I tell you what, that's nerves of steel. I'm not sure if I would do it. But it is the Gold Cup, Bill, so you'll do just about anything.
Yes, you will. Just like any other Sunday, right?
Yes, exactly.
Dave Villwock dances the spirit of Qatar down the backstretch in front of the Detroit Yacht Club and into the Rooster Tail turn. He won his first race in San Diego in 1992. The record that Chip Hanauer threatened and Bill Munsey has held for many years is about to be shattered. History is made in Detroit. Dave Villwock has the Gold Cup and is the winningest driver in the history of the sport. J. Michael Kelly's going to have to make an extra lap after the penalty, so he'll take the white flag this time by. It'll be a second-place finish for Scott Lidicoat and an amazing third-place finish for Jeff Bernard in that battered boat. That celebration is going to be something when Villwock gets back to the pits.
It will be something to see. It's quite an accomplishment.
So Dave Villwock is the winningest driver in the history of the sport, and he has the Gold Cup. And we'll talk to him when we come back to Detroit.
Coverage of the 2011 Air National Guard Hydroplane Series is brought to you by Air National Guard. Visit goang.com to learn more about exciting opportunities in your area. Falcon Sports. Get out and play paintball. Check falconpaintball.com for a field near you. And by Peters & May. For professional management of your worldwide boat transport and logistics, remember Peters & May.
Well, Dave Villwock and his team have raised the bar. 63 career wins, and somewhere Bill Munsey is smiling. It didn't come easy, though. This team had to work around the clock all week after the wreck in Madison to get this boat ready. Then a gearbox problem in 1B. No points. In Heat 3B, he nearly got cut off by 2 boats, but still came back to get the win. He takes his 9th Gold Cup and 63rd career win. And Mike Allen is with him.
Dave, you just said it. 4 straight Gold Cups in a row, and the big number 63 has hit home. How does this feel?
Unbelievable. I mean, for our team, I mean, we crashed last weekend. We worked a million hours. Ed Cooper and his bunch helped us put it together. We fought all day. We came up with the right combination in the end and motored around.
You guys did everything you needed to do. You were thrashing in between heats there, had to change the rear wing, put a little bit of a splash guard in the front, but the shoot speed was there. Man, that thing's a rocket.
Yeah, it's just, you know, thanks to Nate and the 17 crew, they gave us a wing that's better than ours, I guess, and had a great boat ride and it just set sail.
So Dave Villwock gets the win, his first of the season, the 63rd of his career. He won 37 races, driving Miss Budweiser for Bernie Little. So you know somewhere Bernie Little is very proud of his former driver. Take a look at the season high point standings for the driver, Villwock on top of Jeff Bernard, the rookie Lidicoat in third, then Cal Phipps and Greg Hopp. And the celebration at the Air National Guard stage here in Detroit. An amazing accomplishment for Dave Villwock. Most people thought Munsey's record would never be broken.
Unbelievable, Bill. To have witnessed it was just fantastic.
And next week, Tri-Cities, Washington.
Another fast race course, and it's going to be all about who can get lane position there as well.
So we'll see you next Sunday at 4 Eastern Time. Dave Villwack has the win and his 63rd career victory and another Gold Cup. For Mike Allen, Lindsey Guthrie, and Steve Montgomery, I'm Bill Weber. Thanks for having us in for the race, and so long from